Evelyn to Phil, January 18th, 1943. Dear Sweetness, Yep, 2 deliciously sweet letters today. That clipping from the Sharp and Dome extract is nicely put. It's dreary and rainy today, a regular blue Monday. Last night I fed Adele at 10:15. Doc advised starting a bit later, and she was fed again at 5. She cried a bit during the night, but she'll get used to it before long. My mom didn't feel well yesterday. She had one of those splitting headaches and consequently did not do the wash. Not wanting her to bother with it today, I dashed down after breakfast, page 2, and knocked out a good-sized wash. I haven't been feeling well lately. I noticed that I'm full with milk again. Have to take stilbestrol pill once more. And it's annoying to say the least. I paid insurance today and spoke to the collector about insurance for the baby. They have a plan where you pay $1.18 per month for 20 years, which amounts to $250, plus dividends, making it worth anywhere from $275 to $335. He doesn't think it advisable to insure the baby till it's at least 6 months old, because the value of insurance increases, page 3, with the baby's age. I think I'd rather wait a while. I'd like you to make the decision about the type of insurance and the amount we can afford to upkeep. I caught my new robe on the chair from the telephone cabinet and ripped it. I don't think it will be noticeable after it is sewed. Benny expects to be shipped somewhere very shortly. We asked Tanta to send him $25 so he could have some spare money on hand. Yale really had a tough time of it. He was in an oxygen tent and required a blood transfusion. He was taken to the hospital January, page 4, 10th, and they didn't know what was wrong with him till January 12th, and by then he was pretty far gone. They pulled him out of it just in the nick of time. He was just started on solid foods, so he's definitely going to be okay. Shirley was scared out of her wits, and no wonder. Do you realize, sweet, that it's about a week since you left? I'm very busy and time flies quickly, but as time passes, I feel the need to see you again. Know something, dear? I won't menstruate for an indefinite period. My mom told me that after her 5 pregnancies, she menstruated once in 3 months, once in 6 months, and even went a year without it. She said you can't tell if you are pregnant unless you feel life, and it is so easy to get caught without even knowing it. She said many women told her that they used every form of protection and don't know how in the world they became pregnant. So maybe our theories aren't so perfect after all. Adele is fine, looks different every day. Everyone is fine and sends love. Good night, my darling soldier. My love is, page 6, burning strongly for you. Your Evie. Philip to Evelyn, Monday, January 18th, 7 p.m. Evelyn, dearest, no letter from you today, and consequently I am a bit let down. Maybe too tomorrow, eh? I'm wondering today whether or not Dottie came through. My time is divided now into 3 sections. 1, mess hall. 2, correspondence. 3, movies. I saw a few good pictures within the past few days. Saturday I saw a double feature. Reunion in France. Jay Crawford, John Wayne, Philip Dorn, and Girl Trouble with Don Amici and Joan Bennett. Both pictures were well worth seeing. Sunday at the Base Theater, I saw China Girl with Gene Tierney, George Montgomery, Victoria McLaughlin, Lynn Barry, and this one is really something to write home about. It's dramatic dynamite. Today the feature is the same, so I won't go to the movies, darn it. Sorry, Chippy, that I can't even guess when I'll see you again, much less tell you something definite. You see, all the company has had their furloughs, and since no more 3-day passes are to be issued except in case of emergency, it's page 2, unlikely that I'll get home for at least 2 and maybe 3 months. We have no idea whatever just what the company is scheduled to do in that time, so there's no sense in worrying about it. At the rate the Allies are moving, it might not be long before Germany, at least, is knocked completely out. The news grows more encouraging daily, what with the intensive bombing of Berlin and the lifting of the siege of Leningrad after 17 months. Yes, dearest, things are decidedly in our favor, and the vaunted power of the Axis is a thing of the past. So be of good cheer, my angel, and remember that every day we are apart brings us closer to that happy day when we shall be together forevermore. This does not mean that you are to hold your breath until I return. Rather, try to make the most of this period of enforced waiting by concentrating on your own and Adele's welfare. You need never be bored by routine if you make an effort to vary the activities between feedings, etc. Go out of your way to do anything constructive instead of ignoring something that seems like a good idea just because you are feeling low and are want to dismiss any notion because of an "oh, what's the use" attitude. I realize, honey, that it takes a world of willpower to force yourself to pay attention to what seem like comparative trifles when your heart and thoughts are elsewhere. Page 3. But believe me, my own, it is imperative to the welfare of all of us that you stifle your inclination to brood over our ill fortune. You owe it to yourself and your baby and me to make a sincere effort to keep your heart and hopes on a high plane, and in so doing, to inspire the conduct and set the example for the whole family. Read as much as you possibly can, and when this gets too boring, try crocheting or fuss around with your person. Try different hairstyles, etc. But never let yourself remain absolutely idle. When you find your thoughts straying and your hands idle, try one of the expedients I have mentioned above. It will pay dividends in health and mental attitude. I'm getting very sleepy, darling, so I'll close now with all my love and a kiss for Adele. Love to all. Ever your Phil. Lil to Phil, at home, January 18th, 1943, 1:15 p.m. Dear Phil, haven't even got an excuse for writing. Not a bit of interesting news except to say that as of today, I'm jobless until I go on call. My patient finally made the grade, and so now, instead of resting, I'll take care of my Aunt Anna for a while. She has been hospitalized and is quite ill, at least for the present, and only time will tell, as is the case with cardiacs. I realize I've told an unintentional lie in the above, for on Saturday, Ed's mother received a card from yours and mine and everyone's Uncle Sam telling her that he had arrived at his destination safely. Of course, until she had received the card, I threw the baloney to her about getting daily letters from him, so that she would not worry as long as she thought he was on this side. But when I was just about worn thin from my conscience bothering me, lo and behold, a report from the whiskered gentleman pops up. Well, I guess those are the fortunes of war. I read of a contingent arriving in England a day ago, so maybe he's with that gang. Page 2. I haven't seen your wifey or daughter since you were home. However, I've spoken to Ev a number of times via phone, and I'll make it my pleasant business to check out the reports I hear about your beautiful offspring being almost ready for college. My, these strong-ins, or pallers, are fast. You may settle the matter among yourselves, and may the Lord have mercy upon my soul for aggravating a private war. Myra is just beginning to walk. This I hear also via Bella's little knick-knack labeled "Number Please, 00. Will you cooperate by looking in your directory?" Anyway, she's evidently feeling better, and that's all that really counts. I'm still waiting to hear about your hospital admission, but it will probably come by public notice on the page of the world's foremost newspaper. Take your choice. Well, I guess you're well, or I would have heard before. So until I can gather some really idle gossip, let it be. Only a thought, not a conviction, that this is intended as a preview for at the present I'm going to toddle to my trundle bed and try to get some needed sleep. I guess you'll be calling her Crazy Lil. I'm kind of blue, but so is the ink. Heh. Evelyn to Phil, second letter, January 18th, 1943. Dear Phil, received your Sunday letter today and can understand your desire to go to school. The cook's job certainly has advantages. Exactly what are your duties as cook? I can also understand why you called me from the movies, but as I've said before, make sure you have sufficient change hereafter. I weighed Adele today to see if lack of the 2 a.m. feeding is affecting her any. Nope, she now weighs in at 10 pounds 2 ounces. She seems to have become very large and pleasantly plump, all of a sudden, and looks different every day. I doubt if you would know her now. Page 2. She laughs and talks, makes sweet noises, more and more. She's absolutely darling when she smiles. She filled one gap, sweetheart mine, but there is another which is doubly large because of her. I'm sorry, very sorry, that she must be cared for solely by me. It isn't fair to her nor me. She lacks the recreation provided by Daddy, and I cannot enjoy alone the pleasure derived from watching our creation blossom forth. She cried a great deal last night. I gave her a little water, and she again let Mr. Sandman take over. Jack made a big stink, page 3, tonight about not having sufficient hot water for his bath. A few things he said should have been left unsaid, and I shall never forget or forgive either him or Glo for their thoughtlessness. He even told Harry to go to hell. Phil, the things that are said while you are away are never said when you are present. I can't for the life of me get over the change that takes place when you are here. Everyone stays in their places and keeps their mouths shut. The funny thing about it, though, is that they aim at Mom, but mean me. She sticks up, page 4, for me, which only adds to the mess. You know, honey, after putting up with my grandmother for 5 years, the day is fast approaching when I will no longer tolerate Jack and Gloria. Mrs. Chari just called, 8 p.m. Dottie had a boy at 7:30 this evening. 8 pounds, 1.5 ounces. Good size, so says the hospital. I'll get all the details tomorrow and send them along. At 6 a.m. this morning, she didn't feel well, and 7 a.m. she was at the hospital. Send a card for just you alone, and I'll send one for us. Her doctor guessed both, page 5, her date and her sister's. Her room is number 1104, Jefferson Hospital, 10th and Walnut. She cannot have visitors, only her husband. Her sister Naomi is coming up Saturday afternoon definitely, so we can plan then on a suitable gift. She wants to see Adele, and that's the real purpose of her visit. I called Mrs. Chari this morning, and she didn't say a thing, but she asked for my telephone number, in case. Snuff was with her all day. This pleasant interruption has buoyed me up a bit and taken my mind temporarily off other distasteful matters. I'm, page 6, excited more so than when I had Adele. I didn't have time or strength to get excited so soon after the birth of a child. I was too contented and glad that it was over and everything was okay. I'm enclosing a letter Jack S. received from Lenny because I think you'll enjoy reading it. Please return it immediately after reading it, as Jack wants to show it to Jack N. It rained from Saturday night till this afternoon. Maybe now that it's clear, I'll get the opportunity to go to the docks. I'm still not, page 7, feeling very well, and I'm rather anxious to have a physical checkup. I think my brother Eddie is going to enlist in the Marines. He graduates school tomorrow. Baby, I miss you so much. Sometimes I wonder what keeps me from flying to you. I love you more each minute, if that is possible, and wish like anything that you were here. I can't seem to get to sleep without crying. I miss the closeness, the warmness, and the sweetness of you, my adorable. Page 8. I hope you get the opportunity to go to school, and better still to come home, for good, shortly. I adore you. Forever yours, Evie. P.S. Please do not mention any of the contents of this letter in your letter to me. I don't read all your letters to everyone, but I'd rather not have any records which might be seen. When the time comes, I'll act accordingly. Evie. Lenny Nierenberg to Jack Strongen, January 15, 1943. Hello, Palsy. I just received your letter, and honestly, Jack, I intended writing to you immediately after I sent you the birthday card, so that I could have eased your mind about my feeling that the Army is so lousy. I know you'll be happy to know, Palsy, that this place is a soldier's paradise. I don't know if you know it yet, but I am now taking a photography course here. This is one heavenly place. The whole camp here is like a university. We've got to be at school from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have an hour for lunch, and from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. We go to school 7 days a week and are off the 8th day. We have calisthenics, and that is all the physical work I do here. We don't have to fall out for revelry hour in the morning. The food here is as best as possibly can be, and so is the treatment. Jack Palsy, what a complete change from the lousy treatment down in Florida. They teach us every theory there is in photography at school, and plenty of practical work too. I know how to load and unload films without stretching them now, which isn't easy when you're handling 8x10 film. I've printed on a contact printer, learning all tricks of the trade. You can't imagine how much you really have to think about before actually. Page 2, taking the picture. I've learned all about the different lenses and how light rays travel and what happens when they hit the lens and why they form an image. We've learned all of the different colors of waves of light, all about chemical mathematics and all different types of developer solutions. I've learned why each different chemical is needed in the making of the developing solutions. In the theories, we learn the whys, wheres, and hows of photography. Every bit of equipment that we use, and we use plenty, we have to know just what it's made of and how and why it does what it does. Well, I'm telling you, Palsy, it's plenty complicated and exceptionally interesting, and I like it a lot, which counts mostly. I've got a pretty good general knowledge of all these theories, and the main thing that counts is that I find myself capable of doing the practical work of photography and really knowing the difference between a good negative and print from a bad one or mediocre one. I've learned all this in less than 2 weeks, but there is plenty more to learn, and I need plenty of practice yet. However, I know that when I graduate from this school, I'll be an A1 photographer. You know, there are, page 3, plenty of guys in my class that were making good dough in commercial photography. And although they have much more experience than me, They too are learning new things here, and they don't do much better than me, if any at all. You'd be surprised at how much the little knowledge I got from hanging around Jackie and photography has helped me here. In fact, that was how I BS'd my way into getting into this school. That and the high marks I got in the different intelligence tests. You know, Palsy, this course would cost a small fortune in private life. There's only one catch to this whole beautiful setup, and that is that after I graduate here, after 9 months, I'm ready to be shipped to any combat area. And they practically need all us photographers in combat areas. Naturally, I haven't told my mom or Lee, and I'm hoping the war will be over by then. This is one of the reasons I'm sending for Lee to come out here. You can't imagine how much I miss you and everyone. Then again, knowing me as you do, Palsy, you can. But I miss Lee more than I can stand. Even though conditions at home make it tough for Lee to come to me, I feel justified in, page 4, having her come out to me under the conditions that exist. I'll never be able to get as good a chance of having her near me for the duration of the war as I have now. By the time she comes out here, I'll only have about 2 months with her. But even that little time is worth everything, as God knows where I'll be after here. For the short time that Lee will be away from home, Mom is going to have someone live with her to help her, to keep her company and help in the housework. This town treats us soldiers like kings, and I can get a nice room for Lee for about $5 per week, of which I can sleep in 2, and I know she could get a job here. You know, she's working in postal telegraph for $18 a week. She started Monday. We'll probably just about break even as far as money is concerned. The money Lee will make here will just about cover her expenses, and I only get $19.79 per month out of my pay, as $27 is dedicated for the allotment and $3.25 for insurance. To hell with money, though. As long as Lee and I can just break even, we'll be happy. Mom will get the whole $70 per month from Lee's check and hers, which incidentally is just about the, page 5, amount I gave my mom when I was working in private life. Palsy, so long as you insist on giving me a wedding gift, send it to Lee, as she needs it for train fare. And what more good could a wedding gift be than to help bring a wife to her husband? I'll thank you, Palsy, and it certainly will come in handy. And when the chips are better for me, I won't forget that I owe you and Gloria a wedding gift. That is why I feel a little guilty accepting a wedding gift from you. However, Palsy, being that you are sending it, please send it right after you receive this letter, as the sooner Lee can get a hold of $100, the sooner she can come out to me, and any bit helps. She needs close to $50 fare, and I want her to have at least $50 with her here. Well, Palsy, I guess I've covered everything except to wish you a tardy but a very happy New Year. And I feel that the war will be over by the end of this year, to make it the happiest year yet. Well, Palsy, I guess we've missed another New Year's together, but we'll make up for it after this darn mess is all over. I know it's a bit late, page 6, in the letter to ask, but how is your mother feeling? What are her reactions to her one and only grandchild? How is Ev feeling? And Harry? I know how Phil's feeling, and he's in the same boat I'm in. Now, last but not least, how is your wife? That's darn tough. That's a darn tough break about you two having different shifts. But the way I figure it, you can knock off some fast ones. Seriously though, Palsy, I hope her shift changes. Yes, sir, Palsy, it's a long ways that I am from the likes of you. But rather than have me take pictures for them, this government will win the war and I'll be back home again. And believe you me, I'm certainly going to appreciate home. I'll close now with love and regards to all. Your everlasting Palsy, Lenny. P.S. Please write soon. In case you don't know it, my home address is 2160 Bolton Street, Bronx, New York, New York.